Warning, the following contains a guy on the internet going on a meltdown over a children's film. If this will trigger you, this video may not be for you. Viewer discretion is advised.
Ugh, it's hideous!
Family means nobody gets left behind
or forgotten. I am retiring you, Captain Gantu.
Okay, so Disney just released another live-action remake. I feel like a broken record repeating the same points every single time. But given how popular Lilo and Stitch is, this movie is probably going to hit $1 billion at the box office. Which just makes me depressed. Can we please stop nostalgia baiting? Can we please stop trashing on legacy characters? Can we please stop disrespecting animation?
How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man?
Stop supporting garbage. Please don't go out to see this film. I beg of you. Because if this movie makes a ton of money, Disney will not learn. And they'll continue to pump out content mill slop for like the next decade. Now, I have to readdress these disclaimers. I know it gets really tiring, but maybe there's someone out there who hasn't heard these points before. For a plethora of reasons I'll dive into, no, I have not seen this film. I've seen a lot of reputable reviews for the movie, so that's what I'm basing this off. There's a tiny chance I could get something wrong about the film, but given I'm avidly against this movie to begin with, I mean, these live action remakes I think they're just creatively bankrupt. I don't know, my care is really running low. Also, I'm a huge fan of the original Lilo and Stitch. To be honest, it's probably one of Disney's best films. There's a bit of bias here, like just to let you know that, but to see something absolutely amazing turn into a piece of corporate trash really upsets me. And there's probably someone already typing in the comments, well, this isn't for you, it's for kids. You're taking this too seriously. First of all, stop the cope, okay? If you're excited for this and are okay with this type of media, that's your prerogative. But stop using kids as your excuse for liking it. But more importantly, stop insulting the intelligence of children. Kids are really smart, and they deserve the best movies to progress their development, not garbage like Cocomelon or these remakes. With all that out of the way, let's dive in. Okay, so one of the biggest war crimes this movie commits is removing Gantu. Bro, this guy was one of my favorite characters in the movie. He's got an amazing design, and bro, let's be real, he just has the sauce. The reason they removed him should be extremely obvious. There wasn't enough money in the budget to include another CGI character. But the director came out with a really dumb response. Gantu was one of those things that just didn't work out so well in live action. We explored it a bit, but ultimately we had to make the decision. And also, I do stand by the decision because I feel like a lot of the things that in trying to ground these characters more and tell a story with a little more emotional depth, especially between the sisters, I feel like you have to free up real estate to allow that breathing room to do those things.
What? Alright, yo, this is Copper 3.
Ground these characters? Story with more emotional depth? Buddy, the original film was one of the most emotionally complex films ever made. Not just like animated movies too, like all types of media in general. What Chris Sanders understood is that you could use wacky aliens and cool action sequences to portray emotionally deep and complex issues in a palatable way, both for kids and adults. I mean, pretty much every main character of that original movie goes through a deeply profounding story about loneliness and isolation and trying to fit in. Look, I'll get back to that in a second and why the remake completely fails on that front. But how does removing literally the main antagonist change anything about Lilo and Nani's dynamic? You still have the plotline of trying to catch Stitch, so it's not like removing Gantu actually adds more time to the sisters' development. And because they removed Gantu, they had to turn Jumba into the main villain.
You're kidding me, right? You're kidding me.
Are we being so serious right now? The entire point of his character was about redemption. I mean, after all, Stitch is an extension of him. One of the central themes of the original was how a bunch of people who had these deep-rooted problems were able to come together to form a family. Yeah, each character was extremely flawed or really weird, but they overcame their nature to be evil or angry and instead chose to love each other. But yeah, let's throw all that out of the picture. Let's turn Jumba into a generic villain because we have to focus on making the story deeper. Oh, okay, speaking of which, let's move on to the next war crime of the film. I kid you not, they removed the ugly duckling scene. That was literally the entire point of the original movie. Yes, it may have been targeted at Stitch particularly, but isn't every main character an ugly duckling? Lilo is the outcast from her age group. Nani is forced to become a mother figure. Stitch is a chaotic alien who doesn't understand rules. And Pleakley and Jumba are either super quirky or have really weird ideas for science. But like I just mentioned, the movie uses this analogy to further the character development of every character and explore the central themes of the movie.
Lost.
Take that away, and you basically take away the soul of the film, which according to the reviews I've seen is exactly what happened with the remake. They removed all the depth Stitch had as a character and rewrote other storylines just to say it wasn't a carbon copy of the original. They turned a masterpiece of cinema into a bland piece of corporate slop.
Failure.
Again, what was the need to remove that? The part where Stitch is reading the Ugly Duckling book might be the best scene from the original movie. Are we so deeply in copper that we're removing this to quote-unquote free up space in the remake? So what's ironic about that original quote from the director is that by the looks of it, the sister dynamic doesn't really work in this movie. Now, I don't want to blame any of the actors for what happened in this film, and honestly, I can't really blame the director either because, I mean, what other choice did Disney give him? But the problems are still there and they need to be addressed. Okay, so they tried expanding on Nani's character and the struggles she goes through. I mean, I thought they were perfectly handled in the original, but I suppose seeing more of her point of view could be interesting. And on paper, it kind of is. Because of the death of their parents, Nani's forced to take care of Lilo instead of pursuing her passions as a marine biologist. I think this is a potentially interesting angle that wasn't touched upon in the original. However, they completely fumbled the bag here. Because while Nani was always tired and frustrated in the original, you could still tell she loved Lilo and deeply cared for her. In the remake, there's this impression that Lilo is a thorn in Nani's side, an obstacle to her dreams. This completely goes against the themes of love and family. I mean, she doesn't even go with Lilo to the dog shelter. It's a completely new character. Now, because I didn't see the movie, I'm not really sure how established their relationship is. And by that, I mean, how many scenes we've seen Lilo and Tutu together? I mean, just an expository statement of, oh, they're neighbors, they know each other, doesn't really work. But even if the relationship is explained in an exposition dump, maybe in a vacuum the scene works well. But are we being serious? Nani takes Lilo to the dog shelter because A, she wants to show her love for Lilo, and B, wants to make sure Lilo actually has a friend to be with. Perhaps by taking care of a dog, Lilo can understand Nani's situation. But nope, none of that matters. Let's just insert a new character into the scene because Nani's personal well-being is more important than Lilo's depression.
My disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined.
By the end of the movie, Tutu, which as I stated, I guess is their neighbor, becomes Lilo's foster guardian, and Nani leaves to get her college degree, which is like, did we just not watch the original movie? Again, Nani sacrifices her personal desires so that her little sister can have a good life. By doing this, she understood that some of her selfish wants don't really matter in comparison to the love of family, biological or found. And in the end, she's rewarded for coming to this conclusion. By going the route of the remake, it kind of comes off as Nani not really caring about Lilo and only caring about her own future. It kind of just comes off as, oh, mental health, take care of yourself first. Ohana means love yourself too. Shut up, just shut up, shut up, shut it up, just shut up, shut up. I'm getting really tired of mental health being a crutch and a poorly used trope in Hollywood. I understand the situation Nani's been put in, and there are definitely mental health side effects caused by it. But I don't know. I guess it just feels insulting. Okay, obviously it's insulting for Lilo because the undertone is that Nani cares more about herself than her sister, even if Lilo was supportive of the decision. But more importantly, it seems kind of insulting to people in Nani's situation. Look, I haven't been forced to raise a child out of necessity, so maybe I'm speaking out of my rear end here. However, it's not like most people in that situation ever get the chance to pursue their original dream. They practically sacrifice their lives and will probably never get the chance to go after that dream because they put the needs of their child before their own. That is extremely hard to go through. But rather than consoling those parents in their situation who might need emotional support, the movie basically says, "Get loser. Imagine being depressed and not fulfilling your dreams. Gonna be me."
You don't want to be like this. This is disgusting. This is awful in every way.
As you can already tell, I'm already getting tired of ranting about this movie, so let's move on to the obligatory section of studios hating animation.
Yo, come on, man, I can't.
Stand ready for my arrival, worm.
What is this, like the 5th video I've made complaining about this? The original movie works so well because all of the goofiness and cool sci-fi elements lend themselves so well to animation. You can believe these things are actually happening. But with CGI that was so obviously supposed to stay on Disney Plus, all of that believability is dead. There's some amazing looking visuals in the original that uplift the entire story. This remake just looks like a regular C-tier family film on Netflix. Stitch himself looks pretty good, but everything else just looks so blandly shot and designed, especially the aliens. All the life of the original is just sucked out. Like, I'm not drawn into this at all. And for what? To make this more grounded? To make Lilo and Stitch more realistic? By spitting in the face of all the animators of the original, you've completely lost all sense of believability or originality. How did a studio that created some of the best films of all time come to this? How did a studio that loved art and respected the audience fall so low? How do they continue to make shallow and uninspired decisions?
We've got to have money.
Do better, Disney. We all know what you can do when you try. And for all those watching this video, don't support slop. These studios will not learn or get better if you keep on paying for these movies. And yes, there are obvious signs if a movie will be bad. This generally comes from its marketing and bad trailers, or the concept itself just doesn't work or is obviously corporate. If you don't want to support a film for whatever reason, don't feel bad. It's your right to do so. If you want films to be better, if you want emotionally complex stories like the original 2002 Lilo and Stitch, if you want great movie experiences, don't support this crap. Because if we continue down this path, there won't be anything good left to consume. Thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.